Okay, so it looks like the numbers joining have kind of slowed down a little, so we'll get started. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We have a lot to get through today. So first of all, very welcome to join our workshop today. My name is Ken Dooley. I'm part of the business team here at Crossvale, and joining me today is our senior automation consultant, or our ninja, as we call him, Colin Caprusu. So Colin's going to be doing the important work today of walking you through the workshop. So Colin, if you can just give us a little wave there. There he is. So I'll be handing over to Colin in a couple of minutes. So again, thanks for everyone for joining. Oops, let's walk through here. So I want to walk through our agenda today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Crossvale, and just, some of you joining us may know us, some of you may not, so we'll just fill in some gaps there. And we're and talk about our relationship with Red Hat, who are our co-sponsors of this event today, and we'll talk a little bit about where we fit and how we focus on Red Hat. Then we'll hand over to Colin. Colin's going to take a little bit of a level set about Ansible Automation, the product, the offering, where it fits, and again, just to kind of level set for us before we dive into the actual workshop and the nitty gritty. So we spent the morning making sure everything was working, so fingers crossed. All the environments are still there, so we should be pretty seamless. So from 2:30-ish, 2:30 Eastern-ish for the next 90 minutes or so, Colin will bring you through, I think, 7 exercises to hopefully really accelerate your knowledge around Ansible and the power of Ansible automation. And then we'll look to around 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central. We'll look to do a conclusion. We'll be working through Q&A, so please use the Q&A function as we're working through this, and we will endeavor to answer those questions, and anything we can't, we'll certainly come back to you. And our aim is to finish up well before the allotted 3 hours. So hopefully we'll be able to give you all some time back in your busy schedules. So as I mentioned, for some of the earlier folks joining, this session is being recorded. So if that presents an issue or a challenge, now is a good time to drop off. The final recording, excuse me, will be made available on demand on our website as well. We have some information in the deck about how to get to that afterwards. So let's talk a little bit for a couple of minutes, and I promise we'll get you to the meat of the workshop pretty quickly. So I want to give you a little bit of information about who is Crossvale. So we are a Red Hat partner, and we'll talk a little bit more about where we fit in the partner ecosystem in a moment. We're based in, headquartered in Dallas, Texas, which is where I'm based. And we serve all of North America. And in fact, I know today we have some folks from Europe and abroad. So we actually also service the EMEA market, and basically wherever you are, from our teams, both in North America and based out of, out of EMEA, both out of the UK, Ireland, and Spain. So our main focus is around helping organizations rethink modernization and the often used and overused term digital transformation. So we are experts not just in the area of automation, but everything on the stack from infrastructure, so RHEL, OpenStack, through automation, through containerization, and all the associated offerings from Red Hat around that. So as we've looked at the market over and people's needs and our customers' needs over the last few months, we've really kind of distilled it down into 3 main areas, 3 main strategic initiatives that we're really finding are areas of opportunity for companies to create new business drivers, and also to plug their gaps from disruption and from other technology challenges that they might be facing. And we focused on automation, which we're going to cover today, hybrid cloud adoption. So again, that fight I think is well fought. Cloud is here to stay, hybrid cloud is here to stay, and it's a fact of life. And then software development lifecycle modernization. So not just at the infrastructure level, but how do you marry that with the application development level as well. And certainly, we can discuss some of the things we see there in terms of the synergies and also the conflicts that we see there. So three strategic initiatives: automation, hybrid cloud adoption, software development modernization. Let's see if we can move on here. So we really, as I said, run the gamut from day zero. So building, deploying new technologies or enhancing the technologies you already have. Day one, around solutions. So evaluating what's there, bringing software development into play, and how do we make these different tools work together. So Crossvale has been around for almost 20 years. This is our 20th anniversary, and our at our core is integration, and how do we help our customers solve those integration problems. And then we have our sorry, excuse me. We have our day two. We have our day two focus on managed services. So, you've built and you've deployed. You've done the integrations. We have teams that can help with that. What happens next? How do we maintain? How do we maintain the platform? How do we help you maintain the platform and free up valuable resources to work on high value tasks? So we feel that we have a very good position with our clients to be able to deal with many, if not all, of the challenges that they are dealing on their modernization journeys. So again, just to recap on that, from the day zero, we have our consulting group who deal with the build and the deploy. Our solutions group, day one, deal with the software development, deal with application development, really help at the application layer. We have a managed services team who can pick up the baton after the build, after the deploy, and make sure that everything you've invested in is working. So monitoring, patching, proactive and prescriptive approach, not waiting for something to happen, but really being part of your business and organization and flagging things before they cause a problem. So we often say, let us be the ones that take the phone call at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning. And as part of that, we are part of our relationship with Red Hat. We're also in a position to fulfill the needs around subscriptions. So we can certainly be part of that conversation to help you as you grow your Red Hat footprint. So, and again, as I said earlier, these slides will be shared later on. So you can learn a little bit more about our modernization framework at the URL show there. But just again, the idea here is to give you visualization of our ethos isn't just to come in, fix a point solution, and walk away. We want to be part of enabling your team, helping them to understand what we're doing, what the challenges are. It's definitely a consultative and collaborative approach, right? A big part of our ethos and our methodology is around coaching and helping you understand. And then, as we mentioned earlier, maintaining as well. So understanding your problems, the pain, working with you on solutions, but leading, right? It's your journey, your vision, but our leadership. So our clients really value the fact that we will bring a perspective, we will bring a point of view to them and not just wait for them to tell us what to do, because we bring our expertise. And again, it's always good to have a slide to show some logos. So this is just a very broad snapshot of some of the technologies, our technology partners, and some of our clients that we worked with, again, over both in North America and abroad. So you'll see a broad gamut there: travel and transportation, finance, technology, pharmaceuticals, excuse me. So really, there is no one area where we say this is our niche. We have a lot of expertise around a lot of areas, and that is good because it allows you to bring other ideas, other perspectives from different industries, and that really helps folks set themselves apart. Talked a bit earlier about our position in the Red Hat ecosystem. So we are a premier business partner in North America, advanced business partner in EMEA. And what that basically means is that we are at the top of the pyramid. Okay, we're at the top of the pyramid in terms of a small number of Red Hat partners, particularly in North America, who have shown a lot of expertise and shown a lot of commitment to Red Hat and really help Red Hat evangelize Red Hat and open source. On the left here, you'll see a list of our awards. We're particularly proud and humbled to again, for the 4th year in a row, just been awarded the Red Hat Customer Solution Success Partner of the Year. and that was around an innovative solution we came up with with one of our finance clients. Happy to talk to folks after if they want to learn a little bit more about those. But again, to us, this is huge validation of the work that we've put in, and our collaboration and our very close relationship with Red Hat and with all the teams over there in terms of evangelizing their commitment to open source and technology and modernization and transformation. So again, just to recap, have these slides. So some contact details here, what we do, where we do it. So we deliver North America, we deliver in EMEA, we deliver wherever you are. How we deliver, we have some very prescriptive approaches to delivering all of these products called launchpads. And again, the idea here is not necessarily an off-the-shelf deployment, but a lot of commonality, a lot of patterns when we're deploying. So we've tried to package those again to help folks really get started quickly, or if they're looking to deploy and grow, to really have a good jumping off point without starting from scratch. Okay. If we look at the Ansible Launchpad in particular, why do we build this out? Again, rapid acceleration to value. We have 3 pillars, so there's 3 to choose from. Again, it gives ideal starting points. You know what you're getting, very clearly defined deliverables, and from a budgeting perspective, makes it much easier to have those conversations internally as well. Again, I'm happy to share a lot more information on this, but I want to finish up here. Committed to Colin, I take no more than 15 minutes, so almost on time, Colin. So finally for me, and I'll be here as well on the Q&A, and we'll wrap up a little bit later, but please do stay in touch. So again, we'll have these slides and learn a little bit more about our modernization framework. This recording and all of our other events will be available on our events page. And obviously we always, as the kids say, like and subscribe us on YouTube, but we were putting up a lot of great content up there and on our LinkedIn as well. So with that, Colin, I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to hand it over to you for all the important stuff. And folks, enjoy the next 90 minutes or so, and we'll catch up on the other side.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Colin Caprisu. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. Now I'm based in Barcelona. I've been with Crossvale for 2.5 years now. I love everything automation. I have a history of starting out being an ISO monkey and deploying servers in back in the day, it took about 2 to 3 weeks. Now servers get deployed in 2 minutes. It's pretty amazing. Ansible and configuration management and automation have definitely played a big part of that, and it's very interesting to see how it has changed over the years. So I just shared the workshop link inside the chat here. I would like all of you guys to access this link and sign up, and then you have access to a node and 3 nodes for you to manage, as well as an Ansible Tower node. So as you guys do that, I'm going to share my screen. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes, that looks good, Colin.
All right, great. Thank you very much. So as you guys get started setting up your workshop, we can start the presentation. So this is about a 90-minute presentation where we'll talk about Ansible at a high level, kind of go through some of the use cases, why automation, and all those types of things. Maybe we can open up the horizon a little bit as to what you can do in your own environment, on how you can implement an automation workflow, on how you can go long ways with automation, lots of different things with it. Most people, when they look at automation, they start pretty small. They are automating everyday tasks that are just simple and repetitive. This is very good to save time. And, that generally grows into a sequence of events where you start sharing your automation with other engineers in your environment. Then you kind of really see that you'll need to take control over this. Maybe some standardization, doing things the same way. And that's where things like Ansible Tower can come in and help you out with these kind of integrations. Finally, as you mature on your automation journey, you might want to start building a center of excellence. This is a place where you might bring different parts of your organization that are all building out a very structured, standardized platform for automating not just IT systems, but doing integrations with other solutions, where you'll be able to expand the boundaries of simple configuration management orchestration. So let's continue. What I hope you guys will get from this today is really an enhanced understanding of not just Ansible, but the principles of automation. And we're going to go and talk about why it's important, the value it brings you as an engineer, and what they can bring you to your organization or your particular line of business. And we're going to talk about a bit about the Ansible Automation platform and kind of what Red Hat defines this pack material. We'll also play with some actual Ansible work. So you'll see how it functions. You'll get to log into some different systems, gather some information out of it on those types of things. We'll go through some of the core concepts of Ansible, write some Ansible playbooks, and then we'll also have take a look at the Ansible Tower. Generally speaking, Ansible Tower is an option on itself. So we'll dive into some of the things you can do with Tower. I think your labs actually do have access to Tower as well. I just checked that earlier today. So, we already talked about this. Before we continue on, I'd like to talk a bit about the labs. So we have the labs open for about 24 hours. If we don't get to finish them in our session today, please, you can continue to work on without us. And if you run into any sorts of issues, any sorts of concerns, feel free to reach out to us. All right. So we talked a bit about that. Now we can continue on to the main question: why Ansible? And why do we want automation now in our environment? Well, the simple answer to this is because we have many repetitive tasks that take our time. And generally speaking, these are low-level tasks that aren't very complex, but we do them over and over again, and they take our time. These are stuff that you should be, if you're doing something more than 4 times a week, it should be automated. And when you're automating it, we should do that if we have a better tool that will help us take care of these tasks and put it out of our minds. And that's the seed of where automation happens. It lets us reduce these repetitive tasks that we do as users. So currently, there is already a lot of collective automation happening in your organization today, probably. I know there's a lot of network engineers who have created their own custom Perl and Bash scripts. There's DevOps teams that are already leveraging Ansible for configuration management, or maybe they're doing things out of Jenkins or GitLab or something like that. There's also a lot of vendor-provided automation tools. They call them single panes of glass, but generally, these are bound to the infrastructure that the vendor is selling. We see automation in bits and pieces everywhere, but we don't really see how it all really helps us come together and discuss it with a common platform. Users are still starting to expand when they're talking about Ansible, and it's not really only your infrastructure team or your operations team is knocking out the low-hanging fruit. You can really spread this across the organization, and we can talk more about these integrations later on, and how you can really leverage this tool across the whole spread and not only benefit you, but your whole organization. So, why Ansible? Well, there's just 3 things that have made Ansible stand out against the pack when it comes to automation as a tool, and you can see it here on the slide. Its simplicity, its power, and agentless of it. So I'll just touch on these real quick. Simple. Well, it's YAML based. That's very easy to interpret and to follow along. You have an understanding of how the concepts work within the playbooks and how easy it is to read and absorb and borrow and integrate. It's powerful because it's one of the reasons why we're talking about it today and how successful it is. Its adoption has been in the community. From an open source perspective, Ansible has blossomed into this tool that people have been contributing for a few years now. There's so many different packages that are available within the community. You can basically do anything. Vendors are adding their own packages. The entire ecosystem has really, really blossomed. When I started out working with Ansible about 5 years ago, Ansible was really a dark horse among configuration management tools. There's tools like Puppet and Chef that were really at the forefront of automation and configuration management. But over the years, Ansible has really pulled ahead, and it's really because of the ecosystem and the community. And to touch about this, it's also because it's agentless. It's really the way it operates. It's not quite heavy. It doesn't require as many components as other tools out there. And that makes it really easy to deploy and get it working. So what can I do using Ansible? Well, I already, set the easy tasks like configuration management or standing up systems. But the truth is, Ansible gives you the chance to take advantage of any aspect of your daily IT life. Due to the community and the integration with multiple tools, we're not just talking servers. Essentially, any device you can connect to via network connection. I used to say, like, if it has an IP, Ansible can probably manage it. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but due to the community, every day that exaggeration gets smaller and smaller. The modules, the roles, the tools that are available have really, really swelled up these types of things and what you can do with products. And this is where we open the imagination a little bit. Like let's stop talking about spinning up a server in VMware or an EC2 instance in AWS. And let's start talking about end-to-end automation. This is where really people get excited. I can connect to my ITIL systems. I can connect to my inventory management systems. I can connect to my IPAM. I can connect to my security products. I can connect to all these things together, where before this used to be a standalone process. I had to go to log into system A, system B, system C, all these different steps I had to do, and I had to do them all manually because they're different systems. Ansible is here to bridge that gap, and it can be the integration engine and that's where things really start getting exciting. So let's allude to that a little bit. We have this idea of processes, right? And whether it's onboarding a new employee, or bringing up a new server online, or whether it's deploying a new application versions, all of these actions touch different teams. And basically what automation does for it, it pulls it into a centralized point where you can have a standard language for all of these teams to work within it. Everybody can agree on practice. Anybody can agree on a process. And everybody can understand what's going on because it's all formalized in an automation script. This can help you. This allows you to have things like version control, sequencing, and on and on. And this is the reason why we're bringing all these teams together, and very similar to what DevOps has been trying to do with dev and operations, bringing them closer together for application deployment. Automation really does the same thing for management of your environment. Very, very similar concepts. So what is the Red Hat Ansible Automation platform? It's quite a mouthful, but it's made out of several components. So the most important part is the Ansible engine. This is really the core. This is the original upstream Ansible, where you can go to your CLI and you run a command against the YAML playbook. That's the core piece that sits in the middle of all this. Next, to get away from the CLI and to really work at scale and expand to teams, you need a product like Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower brings in things like role-based access controls. You get API integration. You get workflow builders. You get lots of things that let you scale. It's no longer an Ansible playbook sitting on your laptop. It's now an organized, it's controlled, and it's shared in the environment. And that's really the focal point of bringing your automation together. And finally, and now with the advent of the Red Hat Cloud initiatives, you get a lot more insights on what's going on in your automation environment. And we'll talk more about that towards the end of the presentation. It's really exciting as to what Red Hat has been trying to do with giving you a collective look to all your tools that are running in your environment. Whether it's Ansible Tower, OpenShift, or Red Hat Satellite, they're all bringing all these components together under a one-stop look. So like I mentioned earlier, Ansible has so many integrations, it has so many, it works with systems, it works with cloud providers. There's so many ways, so many things Ansible integrates with. And this is probably when you look at starting out with Ansible and writing a playbook or writing your code, there's probably someone out there that has already written some Ansible playbooks for you and they've already kind of done what you're looking to accomplish. So it's best to spend some time researching when you're starting out with Ansible and your current tasks. And then you will see kind of what people have done, and you kind of use that as a springboard. You borrow, you refine, and it's a lot better than reinventing the wheel yourself. Obviously, if it's something really simple, sure, there's no need. But as automation starts to grow, it becomes more complex. This is where the idea of sharing and borrowing, pulling in reusable modules and code that have been shared by the community or other people in the organization. So, we have this deck here, and I really wanted to talk about the targets for automation. I mentioned earlier, like if you're doing something more than 4 times a week, it should really be automated. There's an XKCD, which I have somewhere here, where it really talks about, is it worth the time to, and how long it should take you to, if you need to, how often do you do it versus how much you will save off if you work on the automation side. This kind of mentality really helps you. If you're doing a lot of grunt work, a lot of menial tasks, just automate them. It really makes your life much easier. And going back to this slide, it really talks about how much your return on investment you get from power. Because you start doing automation on some of your tasks that take about a few medial time. Your colleagues also start automating some of their tasks. You have people in different teams starting automation. And this compounds. This really grows. And while Ansible Tower is a costly investment coming in when we talk to customers, they get a lot of their money back, sometimes within less than 3 months. All right. So now we're going to talk a bit about understanding the Ansible infrastructure, and we can check some of the prerequisites. So today we're drinking our own champagne. The entire lab and everything that we've built has been created with Ansible. I deployed it within Amazon, and everything is running on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and including Ansible Tower as well. So you get to learn with the real thing. You can find more about this lab at github.com Ansible workshops, and you can even stand it up within your organization if you want to be a champion of automation. So this talks more a bit about your the lab and how we set it up. We provision it, we configured it, and then we can manage it. So students now can log in, as you guys have. Is everybody signed up? Let me just check that real quick, actually. See how we're doing on that.
Hey, Colin, Ken here. Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat and the Q&A. If anyone has had any problems, they certainly haven't put it into either of those. So folks, if anyone has had any problems connecting, please drop it into the Q&A.
We're doing pretty good. We have about 30 people on actually right now, so it's looking really well. So let's continue on. Now we'll talk about before we start the lab, we'll talk about exercise 1, and we'll have to understand the Ansible infrastructure. So this is really a high-level diagram of all the components. It begins with the user, the guy who wants to really automate. He's sick of doing grunt work. He puts it all into an Ansible playbook that hits across an inventory. The playbook also interacts with a lot of the modules, a lot of the plugins. And Ansible itself, it's running from the CLI, which then manages and manipulates hosts or network devices. One of probably the most consistent thing in Ansible is really the playbooks, in which you'll have to be writing a lot of it. It's all written in YAML, which stands for yet another markup language. This is a printing-based language that is spacing. It's very important to get your spacing in YAML. It is, I think, the precursor to JSON. So this is your example of an Ansible playbook. We have the top layer, which talks your target hosts where you want to deploy, as well as some of the tasks that come in, and then you'll see stuff like yum, template, and service. These are modules within Ansible that let you manipulate. In this case, yum is installing a package for you. Template is bringing in maybe a template file, so you can have state. You have the same state across your entire organization, same message of the day or same Etsy hosts, etc. As we just talked about modules, here we're talking about templates, but there are so many modules, guys. Every day they're coming out with newer and newer. And we're having a lot of vendors coming in and writing their own modules. We're having a community coming in and writing out their own modules. It's such a beautiful ecosystem to be part of. And from an open source perspective, you get a lot of meat from coming onto this. Then we can talk a bit about the inventory. So inventory is the target amount of servers that's or instances that you are hitting. So for example, we have here even switches. Like I said, if it has an IP, Ansible can probably manage it. We have some security providers here, even load balancer. Again, I will never stop stressing it. It's just so much written in Ansible. Like there is for every single Linux command, there's probably already an Ansible module for it. And it works across not only Linux systems and not only different versions of Linux and flavors, but also we have a lot of work within the Windows systems as well. That has gotten mature really well since 2019, I would say. The only requirements, you just need to have Python running, and that's it. Okay, so I think lab time now. I would like everybody to log in and try to complete the first exercise. So let's have a quick look at what they are. So we have 3. So we got to check the prerequisites. We got to make sure that you can log in and you can see. You should be able to SSH in right now. When you logged in, you should have been seen similar to this, your SSH access and your Ansible Tower access. So do try to give it a try. See how that works out. If we can talk a bit about, while you do that, I'll talk about some of the modules. We have stuff like managing systemd services. We have, we can deploy VMs in VMware with this. We can deploy EC2 instances with these modules. It really is pretty massive, and the collection at Ansible Docs is massive as well. I'm gonna actually show you guys. While you're getting started. Oh, okay, this changed a bit, but let's see. This really is massive, and we have stuff like cloud modules, clustering, command, crypto now. If you guys want to start farming Bitcoin automated across all your Bitcoin miners, you can. We have stuff like file modules where you can do a lot of creating files, creating directories, setting up ACLs, stuff for source control. If you need to look at Git, if you need to work on some of the work with Git branches, packaging modules. So this is stuff where you bring in stuff like RPM. We have pip, we have npm, gems for the Ruby style. Again, because Ansible is created to run on multiple flavors of Linux as well as Windows. It's using, it has APT, APK, and even Chocolately, I believe, somewhere around here. All right, so let's continue. So I think at this moment, everybody should have set up their access. They should have logged in, and you were able to see your nodes. We can continue on to exercise number 2. So let's look at exercise number 2. Okay, and that is running ad hoc commands. So to run the commands and to run Ansible, you need an inventory file. So inventory file is usually file-based. It can have multiple groups. It can have variables for each group or even a host. If we have a quick look at, give me a second, I'll log in right now. I believe the inventory is saved in your home directory for student. Right. A bit. So there's your lab inventory. Have a quick look at it. You know, we can do, see, this is the inventory. We have, these are actually the nodes that they're sitting here. We can see the variables that we're using to log in. So Ansible is coming in via port 22 via SSH. It's going to log in with the student 1 user. And this is the current node that you're sitting on, the control node. So you can come in here and have a quick look. We can look at some of the groups. So we can do Ansible. So we can see that, you know, for node 1, we only have one host here. I think some of the other ones is going through the different type of groups that we have. So we can check the group first instead of by node. So, you know, in the web group, we've seen 3 nodes, and we're actually getting that back here. Let's continue on here. So again, very basic inventory. You can put in either host names, you can put in IPs. Then again, when you can just set up the host name or the IP. You don't need to actually write the Ansible host, but it's best practices to do it. This way, Ansible will know if it maybe you don't have DNS set up. It will come in via IP. And then there's variables per group. So this is very, very important. Where, for example, you might have, you know, some database groups, you might have some application groups, and you'll have different variables for these. Like some only a special, only a certain type of users are allowed on your UDB servers. Or maybe only developers are allowed on the application servers, and all this can be set within the inventory. I think right now, actually, it's best practices to use group variables, but that is once you get more complex with Ansible, you can look at that. And to define a variable, you just this applies to everything. But if you want to create a variables only for web, you just replace all with web and then have your web variables for all your nodes on there. Even you know, sometimes you might need a different user, for example, to log into your web nodes versus your database nodes. This is very, very, it really depends on your organization and how you are dealing with it now. So your first ad hoc command. So ad hoc commands are Ansible commands that can be sent across to your inventory nodes. Now, this is very powerful. Like if you're looking at if you install Ansible and you're looking at a average server farm of about 300, 400 servers, you can write with one command, you can send out 400 servers, you know, to even manipulate them. This one is using a module called ping, which, you know, it just checks on your host, see how they're doing. So let's have a quick look on it. I believe it's Ansible. So at this moment, Ansible will try to log into each one of your nodes, and it's a success. It has logged in. And then it replies with the pong. Submarine ping, not ICMP. All right, again, we just talked about this, we went through it. So let's also look a bit about the difference between Bash versus Ansible. All right, this is my MS SQL configuration setup. What we're doing here, we're creating a password, creating a PID, and then we're dumping that out to a setup command. Now, Ansible, you know, sometimes it's understandable that maybe the module has not been created for your tools and what you're looking for. You can always use the command module or the shell command, the shell module. Now, command will just only run a command, while shell will let you use shell interpreters like you know, pipe, you know, redirects, etc. Well, this is not this doesn't look like it's less lines, but it's a lot more readable. And the problem a lot of organizations had is they would have these Linux graybeards within the organization, bash wizards. They've been, they automate everything. They automate getting a coffee from leaving to their desk to when the coffee is done, and then by the time they arrive to the coffee machine is there. But once they're gone, now you have all your under engineers. Hopefully they're bash knowledgeable to decipher and really read and understand what's going on. Well, Ansible is trying to tackle this problem and to make it more and more readable. And really, you don't need to have a lot of development background to run Ansible. As you can see, it's very, very descriptive. It tells you what it does. It tells you where it goes. You're using the modules. You're pointing to okay. You're pointing to the path of the item and then the loop. So we have a question in chat right now. Just give me a second. Let's have a quick look. And where am I? Here I go. So where do you get your IPs from? I believe there is right now, there's a link that you can sign up to, and you will have all your IPs there. So I sent you the link, and then you should have, once you log in, you should have something similar to this, where they'll give you an IP. I hope that answers your question, Philip. Alex, Franklin, sorry. It's 3 first names. Don't know which one is which. No, it's so let me just check real quick what you should be available. Let me give you the workshop. Let me give you the workshop link again, and perhaps you can try to access it, and you will get it there. Okay. Cool. Give it a try. Let me know if it works. We have the labs up for 24 hours, so I'm sure you can figure it out. Let's continue on here. So we are now working to complete exercise 2, ad hoc in your lab environment. So which one is that one? Ad hoc, running ad hoc commands. I believe this is the one. So please try to come in and try to give some of these ad hoc commands. We can go through it one by one if you like. It comes with a lot of modules. So for example, Ansible Doc. If you don't want to go to the Ansible Docs website, this is their man pages. We can check here Ansible Doc. If you want, let's look at Yum, for example. I use this a lot. So it gives you all the options and how you should do it, configuration, what are some of the options you can pass to the module. And at the very bottom, you will have different examples on what you can be doing. So for example, here, you want to install a couple of packages, you can do it like this. This is the simplest Yum module you can set up. Again, this and Ansible Doc is really what you'll be getting if you do go to docs.ansible.com. So if we come here and we just type module, this is just a pretty website version of what you had on the command line with the examples as well. This is where all the meat is. All right.
So Colin, Colin, Ken here, just before you go into the second one, another question from Jim. So I'll answer the first one about accessing the slides. So we'll make this video available. So the slides will be there, and they're probably in the workshop as well. But Jim's second question is, what's the correct way to display the readme.md file? Is there a viewer?
Cat. Run cat. What are you trying to read, Jim? Like if we're in here. Let's step out. I guess you want to see the actual.
So it's the readme.md file.
This is it. So you can do a cat, but really do follow online. Once you log in, you'll have these two buttons. You may have missed them because they are just silver gray, just chilling here. But if you open it, you'll get all the exercises that they're setting up with all the exercises that need to be done. I really hope that answers your question. All right, let us continue. So next, we are, I think by now, everybody should have done their Ansible ad hoc commands. If not, they were, where were they? We had the ping, we had to check the docs. Then, you want to check doc and look at users. And then we're going to try to run a command. So we're going to try to do an ID. I'll do this one with you guys. Great. Looks off to the side. So -m stands for module, and then the next word you pass to it is the type of module you'll be writing it. At this moment, we're just doing command. And then -a is for the type of arguments you'd be passing to a module. So for example, if you remember when we were looking at the Yum module, there was one for package. Well, this is where you'd be writing your package. But at this time, we're just writing ID. So it's only going to run on node 1, because that is the target. It's going to run the module command, and the command is just going to be ID. So Ansible logs in via SSH, and it runs the ID, and it's logging in with the student 1 user as per the vars in the tower inventory. And then we can also look at the kernel versions. So I think we have some different types of nodes. I'm not sure, but we can check right now. Sorry about that. I guess they're all sitting on row 8. And then we can look at the copy module and permissions. I'll ask everybody to kind of how do you want to handle the group here? If they're done the modules, they can put their hands up, and then we can have an understanding of how far away they're with the exercises. Hello, am I audible?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button there, or the unmute button there. I think that's probably the best. Yeah, maybe just if folks just raise their hands when they're done, and if we get a kind of majority, then we can look to move on. And then obviously, if anyone is stuck, please drop it into the Q&A.
Yeah, that really would be ideal. Thank you. So this next step, it's using the copy module, and it is really pushing. Well, so we talked about this where we're changing from double quotes to single quotes. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like for example, we can do this one with double quotes as well. Usually when you are running commands though, you do want to use single quotes. You can see there's not really any difference here. But the reason why you want to do single quotes is because the way the Linux shell interprets special characters. So if you pass single quotes, your special characters will be safe, while double quotes not so much.
So Colin, Ken here again, just for for everyone, just again, a reminder, I think as Colin said at the top, so you're going to have full access to this workshop for another 24 hours. So don't worry if there's something you can't get to, or if there's an exercise we move on. Like I said, it's going to be available for another 24 hours. So important thing I think is that for us is that you get to take away some of the high level concepts. So again, it's going to be available for another for 24 hours after we're done today. So plenty of time to go through the exercises if you can't get through them all today.
All right, so I think this one is going to expect an error, and that's because Ansible is not, it doesn't have enough privileges. So you'll have to use a privilege escalation, which will be done by the -b, argument. I think if we run this right now, we should have a successful run. Cool. So at this moment, what we've done with Ansible, we've changed our etcmotd. So if we do the following command, Ansible log1 -m command -a, and then we do a cat on etcmotd, we will see managed by Ansible. All right. Next, we're going to walk a bit with work a bit with modules. Again, this one is working with Yum. So it's going to try to install Squid and the latest. So we'll do this. Well, I'm just going to run it directly. So you can see now how powerful Ansible really is. And if your inventory is over, 1,000 hosts, 4,000 hosts, if you just need to make a change, it can be devastating if you misspell something, but it can also be very rewarding if you let's say you're having an issue with, I don't know, a security leak, etc. And this is just the command line tool. Okay, we haven't even done a deep dive in the modules, in the roles, and what you can really do with Power as well. So it's Ansible right now installed Squid, as well as the dependencies, lots of pro packages here. So I think at this time I'm done. I hope everybody is as well. We're going to move on to the next slide, and we're going to talk about exercise 3, which is going to talk about playbook basics and running a playbook. So we touched a bit about the Ansible playbook from the beginning. A play comes, from sports. You want to give Ansible a list of tools to do, a list of tasks to do, and then what order you want them to do it. So at this moment, from this playbook, you can see we want to stand up our web server. So in order for that, we need to have Apache installed. We need to make sure we have our index web page in the correct destination, and we need to have our Apache service running. We can have a look at tasks. So tasks are generally these 3 lines that you see here, where you give it a title and you give it a module you want to work with, and then the module arguments. Yeah, look at that. I'm a bit ahead of myself. And then the most important colors of Ansible. This is the Lithuanian flag. When we see red, when we see green, that's good. No changes have been made or executed as expected. When we see yellow, we had a change and it was great. The change worked fine. And then red is, your enemy. Sometimes you have a massive failure. So it's going to be putting these colors. I think you can change these colors actually in the Ansible CFG if you like to work with a lot of configuration and like to mess around with it. But not that many people work with it. So what are some concepts of running a playbook, right? So you run the following command, Ansible playbook, and you tell it to run Apache.yaml. So then you get a nice little output on your terminal, So it's starting the web service play, which is the name of it. Okay, it doesn't say it. That's fine. It gathers facts on each of these nodes. So these nodes, these facts are actual facts from Ansible that it collects from everything from host name to hardware, what type of, how much RAM it has, how many disks it has. It's really massive. And actually, I'll give you guys an output of what it looks like. What does an Ansible fact look like? Well, what does the Ansible output look like for facts? And I think to collect facts, it's called setup. That's the module, and we just run it. So we get all of these facts are actual variables that you can then use within your playbooks to call around. Like, for example, if you have less than this much memory, maybe you need to do some cache clearing, etc. If you can populate your etc hosts file based on the IP, the value of IPv4.address. So there's really a lot of it's really powerful, these Ansible facts that you get in. So that is really what the gathering facts test does. And then the next one. So this is the one that we looked at in our play. So it's going to install HTTP package. It's going to pass the index.html to var www.html, and then it's going to start the service. So in here, it's downloading the package. It has the latest HTML file, and then it restarts HTTP. And then you get a little play recap. So for example, let's say it worked on 1 and 2, but on 3 it failed. You would have here a 1 for a failure. And each of these lines, they are node specific. So you might have successful runs on 2 nodes, but failed to run on the 3rd node. So Ansible will then continue on just with the 2 nodes that have been successfully running. Let's continue on. So guys, it's time to run some playbooks. Where did I put my little exercise? Writing your first playbook. All right. So guys, again, very important, your spacing. So don't use tabs, spaces. You use your spaces. It's really recommended. And actually, for all of you, if you are heavy Vim users, I usually like to do my Ansible linting and my Ansible development in Visual Studio Code. We have Visual Studio Code for you guys if you'd like to use it. If you want to, if you'd like to work with Vim, I recommend setting your Vim RC as follows. Oh, okay, it's already nicely done for me. So let's have a quick look. Let's the Drake. Yeah, very nicely done. So very important to see the spacing. So this very top these 4 lines, this top collection of code, this is really what will run on the play level, while the tasks need to be sitting underneath the task itself. So you start out with the 3 indents to help you out, and then as general rule, always on the third letter of what you're working with. For example, we have yum. On the M, we want to give the arguments for the module. Okay. Important concepts. So hosts is really where you want the Ansible playbook to run. So for example, let's say you don't want to run it only on node 1, you want to run it on all nodes. You can do stuff like all. Or you can also give it the group, if you recall, on the inventory. You can call it across the web group, which will run it across all 3 nodes. Or you can use arrays. So you can do node 1, node 2, node 3. Okay, and then become. So if you recall, when we're trying to manipulate, it's the MOTD, message of the day. We didn't have enough permissions, and then we had to use the -b in the add-hoc command. Well, the become to become key here is how we tell Ansible to use sudo. So we tell it become and true. So very, very important thing about Ansible, if you're not familiar, is that it is idempotent. So if a playbook is run once to put the host in the correct state, it should be okay to be running the second time and should make no further changes. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's give this playbook a run, if you will. Let's say that there. Finish it. Step back. Playbook. Well, workshop. Then we'll run it against an inventory. At this moment, it's going to install it. You'll notice that it's all yellow, so it's done all these changes. And now let's run the playbook again. So Ansible is smart enough to realize, hey, it does have the latest version of Apache. Apache is enabled and installing, and index.html is in the correct spot. So let's continue on. We have step 2, creating a directory structure and file for your playbook. It's time to create our first playbook. Install it, copy it over. I think all this is already written out for you guys, but just go through it. I'm gonna get some water, and do feel free to ask any questions while you are starting this out. And let me know when you're done by using a show of hands, please. All right, I'm back. I'm gonna run some of these with you guys. So I'm at step 3, running the playbook. I'm gonna do a syntax check. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's go inside apache.yaml. This flag here is very, very important. It really helps you out with your linting. It tells you where it is, where you're having issues. Oh, apparently this works fine. It wouldn't. I don't think it will. Let's give it a try. Did I not save it? I'm pretty sure I inserted an issue there. There we go. So this helps you out before you do your run to do a syntax check to make sure you have the proper syntax, proper spacing. You know, it's complaining here that there's an offending line. It's line 5, column 5. But we come back to it. And it was definitely the spacing. Fine. M is fine. These need to be under the M. Now we do another syntax check and here playbook. So we can verify that Apache has been installed. And you know, we have managed by Ansible, where we did that that MOTD from our. We can do an RPM QI. Yep. And we don't even need to log in. For example, if we are, doing this manipulation over 400 servers, you're not going to log into 400. One server, one by one, to check the HTTP is installed. So again, we can take advantage of the ad hoc commands. Voila. And we were okay to see that we can access the web server that is running on node 1. All right, so it's time to take this to the next level. one node is fine, but let's play with all nodes. We're gonna run this across the web group. A little syntax check, make sure we have everything. Now we're gonna run the playbook. And you can see obviously node 1 does have Apache installed, but the other two don't, right? So you can see the difference on how it runs. And notice, nothing has changed here because it was okay with everything. But node 2 and 3, we had not run this playbook across them, so we had to have the changes done. So at this point, I think most of you should be done. Can we do a show of hands so we can move on to the next slides? And again, guys, if you don't finish it, don't stress out. You will have plenty of time, 24 hours, to go through all of these and play with it. Kick the tires a bit. Really see the power of Ansible and what they can do, messing with different nodes. Okay, I'm going to start talking about the next exercise number 4. And here we're going to play with variables. And what are facts? I think I was a bit ahead of myself and kind of give you a sneak peek on what we can do with facts. So we can let's look at the playbook variables first. So you can set up some variables within the playbook block of code before you run your tasks. So we have variable number 1 where we have the key and the var, and then you can even combine variables. So this output here will be that Ansible is awesome. Now, when we started talking about the inventory, I mentioned to you that you can put variables at the inventory level. You can have it at the group level, at the host level. There's really it's a really massive inventory hierarchy. And as you get more and more advanced with Ansible, you really get to see and the value of this. And I want to allude back to the fact that, like, say you have database servers and web servers and development servers. Maybe each of this Ansible needs to log in to each of these servers with a different user. So you can set that up within the inventory or within the group inventories. So let's look at facts now. Facts are data that comes in from your machine that you're managing. It comes in the form of Ansible variables. So if you recall, we ran that setup module. You can do it again. Let's go with this one. So I see an ad hoc command. I'm going to take it. So, What I usually use these files for, when I'm setting the host name, for example, working with a domain name. If you see the host name here, we have FQDN, the full host name, if you will. Again, working with IP addresses, working with different. This is your DNS setup, if you will. The major distribution server. So sometimes, let's say you're installing Apache on your servers, but you have Debian-based servers and you have Red Hat-based servers. You can tell Ansible for the Debian-based servers to use @get, while for the Red Hat base version to use yum. In addition to that, Apache is named differently on Debian servers versus RHEL-based systems. So Ansible will know, depending on what kind of system it is, to look for. Actually, no, it will not know. You'll have to pass this conditional. So if you have Debian-based, look for Apache. If you have RHEL-based, you'll look for HTTPD. So here we're going to talk about a bit of printing out the variables and the facts. So we come in here, we run it on all hosts, and we run the following tasks. We're going to use debug. Debug is a template that is a module that will display whatever you're writing here. So this really really uses the Ansible facts. So it looks up the FQDN of the server, and then we get the IP, and then you have a bit of an output similar to this. And this is where I was talking to you about, you can create variables within the inventory, but your best practices are to create variables within files. So it's good to have group vars just for web, host vars just for your nodes. So let's say you have some special nodes that are sitting in your DMZ. Well, you will need to access these via a different port or a different user. So what we're doing here is we have some files that need to be deployed on dev and some files that need to be deployed on web servers. So we have some nodes that are all going to be sitting in, if they're in the web, they're all going to be part of dev. However, node 2, it's actually sitting on the prod stage. So as we see here, host name variables have a higher hierarchy than the group variables, and production, and this variable will overwrite the previous one. Any questions on variables and facts with Ansible? Thank you, Tom, for your question. So should Ansible run from its own designated server? Well, unlike Puppet and Chef, it's running agentless. So technically, you just need a server that has Python and Linux. It's Linux based. It would be ideal to do that. However, you can use Ansible to run locally. You can do local hosts against your controller, and as your organization grows on your automation journey, once you're going to be running lots of these playbooks, you want to really be using Ansible Tower, and that will be its own really designated place to live. So guys, let's I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break and grab some water, and you guys can start on the next lab, which is variables, and then I'll join you guys. Okay. All right, folks, I'm back. Let's do this exercise with you guys. So let's create some variable files. Let's come back to our Ansible playbook here. Asking us to create group vars, and I didn't actually create this directory. Create that first. Saying cool. And we'll create a little notice when you're writing variables here versus when you're writing it in the command line as an ad hoc command, you're usually putting equal versus here you're putting actually the colon. Okay, put that in dev. Now I'll write this. What else we got here? Then we'll create some files. This next one is dev. It is, hey. I'll create a little playbook. This is called deploy index.html. So what are we doing? We are the web.html. We're running it across all the web hosts. We're becoming, we're getting escalated privileges, and then we run a copy command. So from stage, and then destination. So we run this. We do our trusty syntax check. Sure, I didn't fat finger anything. So far, so good. And then we give it a run. Cool. So at this moment, we have web HTML changed across all 3 nodes. And let's see the results. Cool. Let's copy this. Okay, dev prod Dev. All right, that's great. So that is really working with what we have for our stage. So remember, we created on node 2, we created a variable that runs only on node 2, and we told it that its stage is production. Continuing on, Ansible facts. All right, let's run this one. We've seen this already. So this will show you all the ETH0 connections. So Ansible ETH0, it's active. It's running off of ETH0 interface, and then all the interface features. And then the most important part is IPv4 and address. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to create a playbook that will say this is my FQDN and this is my address. So let's look at, but first, let's check the memory. How is this node doing? Well, has a lot free, some used, and then no swap is created. Uh-oh, it's not bueno. There's one way to go through the setup module. So for example, sometimes I'm trying to get, you know, the IP. So I would run this and then, but if you grep the IP, if you recall here, you're only going to get this. You're not really going to get the address. So you have to grep actually address. We got the MAC. The IP is set up, is put in two different places. They have all the default addresses, and then they have the addresses per interface, which is the one that we saw here. What else? What's next? Oh, we get to do this fun one called facts.yaml. All right. So the output of this, we will see the FQDN of each of the nodes and then their IPs. So usually Ansible gathers facts by default. However, if that takes some time, right? So if you're running against 400 servers and you're not using any of the Ansible facts, you can set a key here and a value called facts. Run this playbook like this, and I'll show you something. I'll show you how it looks. So it's going to fail because it's expecting these facts, but we told it not to run the facts. So it skipped it and it went directly to printing it. So if we comment this bad boy out, now we should run successfully. Hey, you got to see an error as well. So this is the big error code, and you can see it failing across each node, as well as the controller node here. And I think with that, we have finished our current exercise. Any questions or concerns, issues with Ansible variables before we move on to the next one? All right, I'll take the silence. All right, now we're going to talk about surveys. No, not those annoying robocallers, but actually surveys within Ansible. So this is where we're going to actually get some time on Ansible Tower, and really, these surveys are ways to make it user friendly. It's basically before your playbook runs, you'll get a question, and depending on that question, it will run the playbook or it will not. So once you create the job template, you will add the survey. So at this moment, before we run into this next exercise, I want everybody to confirm they can access the Ansible Tower link, and let me know if you don't. Okay. Your Ansible Tower link should look like this. Over here, click it. We'll have to create our own. Geez. Okay, let's do it. And then with surveys, you'll create a prompt, you'll get an answer, and then you'll expect some replies from it. So when launching a job, the user will then be prompted with the survey, and they can fill out the survey before the job template will execute. Job templates are how you execute playbooks within Ansible Tower. So let's have a quick look here on our next exercise. Conditionals, handlers, and loops. No, we're gonna skip that guy. This is homework for you guys. Templates. Also more homework. So let's go back to the exercises. So to access surveys, the surveys one, you should go back at the very bottom to return to your workshop, and then you will pick it out from the automation exercises. As you can see, we're not going through all the exercises with us. We're giving you some fun to take at home as well. So I will take us through this. So we have to have a role, just with the Ginger template to deploy index.html. We'll create a template and we'll launch the job template. The playbook and the role already exist in this repository under rel Apache. It can be found in the roles Apache subdirectory. So let us go back to our tower. Oops, there we go. We'll create one job template, and this is expecting us to use. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Bear with me. We'll label it index.html. The job type is run or check. So before you run your Ansible playbooks, you can also run dry runs, so you can see what will change without Ansible actually changing. So, but for now, we're just doing run. For the inventory, we'll use the workshop inventory. The project, same project, and we'll choose the playbook Apache role install, Apache install web content.yaml. Which one was it asking for? Role install.yaml. All right. Next, we'll use the credentials. So this is how Ansible will log into these nodes. Then we'll limit it. So this limit here is the servers you're going to be running it against. So we're running it against the web group, if you recall from our inventory before. Let's see. Inventory. So we are running it only against the web limit. What else we got here? And then we make sure we tell it to use root. And that's over here. So we save it, and now it should appear down here as a template. And then the funnest part of Ansible Tower is really placing this rocket. And this will take you to the Ansible run. Oh wait, we didn't create any surveys. So let's cancel it. I got too excited. I see the rocket and I need to launch it. Let's add the survey now. Warning, do not run the template yet. This is what I get. So let's go back to our tower. Go back to our template here. And we'll add a survey. All right, so we'll do the prompt. We'll call it first line. Okay, answer variable name, first line, answer type text. Text. Okay. And then it says add. All right, cool. We have the first line, and then second line. Save it. I think that's it. Then we save the template, and now we will launch it. So let's try to press the rocket again. Oh no, we were asked a survey, and what are we supposed to fit in? The survey field are shown to job as extra variables. So we come back here. I'm not really seeing it, but we'll write line, right, line, press next, and they are being passed as extra variables on the playbook run. And then we'll watch it. And then we'll see, this is how Ansible Tower looks like running the playbooks. So kind of similar to what you see on the command line. We have a successful run. Then these two variables were used to create the content of the index file. So if we do something fun here, for example, I'm going to show you some really cool things that we can do with Tower. So we have the workshop inventory, and we have this group. We can run a command. No. Okay, yes. Oh, go web and run commands. And then this is how you run ad hoc commands from Tower. So we'll do a command itself, and this is the arguments. So we'll do a cat. We could curl it. Okay, curl localhost, I think. What did we do before? Just bear with me. So we just ran this across all nodes, similar to how you'd be running ad hoc. And then we see the surveys fields here. So this concludes this exercise. Now we can continue on and do one last one. This one is called Red Hat Enterprise Linux System Roles. So Red Hat, being the cool guys that they are, they created some roles that will be useful for you when you're managing the systems. These are different from that. They don't come in directly with Ansible. You have to actually download them. So, you know, we have the roles and content they're sitting on online. So whether you have it on your physical site, you need to download these. And these system roles are used for AC Linux, timesync, firewall, email, There are some roles that are really, really helpful with setting you up. Most commonly, I use timesync. So first of all, let's see if they're actually already installed on our nodes. Well, you know what? I've been running ahead. I'll let you guys mess around with it, okay? So at this moment, the playbook variable example will look like this. We configure firewall, and we have to include the role, and the role will be called Linux system roles.firewall. And then we include another one for timesync to make sure we have NTP or cron AD set up across all our hosts. So please give this exercise 6 system roles in your live environment. Let me close tower for a bit. Close these guys. It's called system roles. All right, give me a second. Let me find it. Previous access. I think you'll find this one actually locally on your machine. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty complex one. Let me see if I can find it in inside the actual exercises. We have the readmes. All right, guys. So I can't seem to find this one on. Has everybody done 5? First of all, exercise number 5. Playing with what's 5? Playing with surveys. If you can give me a hands count, please. Well done, guys. Well done, Andy, Michael, Valentin. So I think now for your next one, for number 6, you will have to use a number 7. we'll have to use the readmes. I'm sorry, I know they're pretty annoying to catch and to read. But you know what? I'll take you through it. So let's have a quick look. The goal of this exercise is to understand and use the pre-existing content in the form of roles. So we got to use the firewall role and the time sync role. So what we have to do, usually how I get these roles is I do a yum install. I think is the package. Because it's not called that, it's called Linux system roles. No, that's not there either. Okay. Maybe we can see this directly on GitHub. It's actually asking us to use Tower. No, Valley, that's not the right one. So in Ansible Tower UI, navigate to projects. All right, projects. And we have the workshop project. And that's sitting here on the workshop examples. So let's try to open this up. Take note of the GitHub repository that was preloaded into your Ansible and Tower environment. Okay, that's fine. And then we go look at playbooks and check out hardening. Okay, we are here. Real Apache. There's no hardening here. Trey, to access Tower, when you log into it, can you see first of all, what browser are you using, Trey? Like if we open a file, private window, and we put the Ansible Tower. Great. So when you use Safari, I'm using Safari myself. And I think I just opened up a private window. This should give me well, I've already accepted it. However, you'll be told you cannot access this site because it's using the self-signed certificates. However, you can access the site anyways. Let me see if there's a way I can clear this cache. Here, 1 second. I will use a secondary site. Actually, let's do. All right, so it says here, this is what you're seeing, correct? So we go to show details, visit this website, and I'm here. We could try it again. So go to show details and visit this website. Still went back through error screen. Maybe it's asking you like what I was asked for. I was asked for to enter my password or my fingerprint on my Mac. Perhaps you are using a company Mac or something, and you don't have admin privileges. If so, I do recommend keeping this link and then try to using it on your own home network. We're not trying to mine Bitcoin off of you guys or anything like that. It's just getting 65. Okay, no worries. All right, folks. So I'm actually gonna looking to call this workshop out. There's still a lot more exercises for you to play with. Conditionals, handlers, and loops, very, very important. Working with templates, Jinja2 templates. And then some roles for you to play as well. Roles are a collection of Ansible playbooks, and it's usually how you will be finding stuff on Ansible Galaxy. So maybe I can give you a bit of a. So on here you can see what kind of roles people have worked on. For example, let's look at this guy right here. By the way, this is the Ansible MVP. He has over like, I don't know, 5,000 modules or something like that. So for anything you might need, let's say you want to work with VMware. Well, we have provisioners on VMware on how to bootstrap a Core OS image, deploying Debian with Packer. Really do look at something. Look throughout the Ansible Galaxy before you start working and deploying more with it. And then let's see. This last exercise talks about the Red Hat Insights and its intro. So Red Hat Insights, this is where I was talking about the single pane of glass that you will have across all your Red Hat products. Your OpenShift, Ansible Tower, Red Hat Satellite. Red Hat Insights gives you information on how your systems are looking, if there's any vulnerabilities. It gives you also assessments of your environment. It remediates any stateful, for example, let's say all your systems need to have the latest version of HTTPD. Well, Red Hat Insights will come in and remediate that. Insights run directly from Red Hat subject matter experts. And then they work with Ansible playbooks. I don't think we have access to Red Hat Insights, but if you do want to give it a test try, feel free to reach out to us. So here's how Ansible and Insights integrate with each other. Like I said, usually Insights, people are using Insights for any sort of vulnerability, any leaks, any security leaks, etc. Ansible Insights will be informed of this, and then they'll create a playbook for it. Insights can't do it all by itself. When you connect it with Tower, it will go and look at your Tower inventory, and it will identify risks. It will generate Ansible playbooks as a Tower job. and it will use Tower for enterprise risk remediation. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me, droning into your mind. Remember, with automation, all the grunt tasks will be automated, and we can work with more complex stuff like automating end-to-end. Please feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, that's it for me. Any last questions, concerns, issues that you might have? Please feel free to ask now. We can have a short Q&A session.
All right, well, so Colin, thank you. Well, Ken here again. So, well, I think people might be kind of composing their thoughts or thinking about specific questions. I'll say thank you to you, Colin, for taking us through that. Obviously, the gremlins are at work, right? So exercise 6 and 7 didn't quite work, but as we said to everyone, the workshop will be available for another 24 hours. And see, if you have any questions as you're working through that over that time, feel free. Please do reach out to us, and also obviously after the fact as well. Please do come back with any questions, any thoughts. And there's another question from Michael. Absolutely. We don't necessarily have any other sessions scheduled. But Michael, maybe if you want to, we can talk offline, and we can certainly set something up to go through with you and the other members of your team in a little bit more detail, maybe making things even a little bit more specific. So, for example, in the past, on the as you can imagine, what Colin has brought us through is pretty high level, pretty general in the sense of, kind of cover a lot of use cases, but certainly we can schedule something and customize something for you and your specific teams. What we found is really useful is, and as Colin has talked about, automation. One of the big advantages of Tower is to be able to break down those silos across organizations and across teams. So, very often we find we find ourselves beginning the conversation with one particular team or one particular group, and they bring in others, whether it's the security or networking or the infra team. So, when we can certainly have little breakout sessions within a bigger session to look at each individual group as well. So, look, as we mentioned earlier, we're here to be where you are. So please do feel free to reach out. We will have a survey also coming out to look out for that. So we'll give you an opportunity if you do want to ask more questions or ask for some specific areas and use cases to cover. So Kelly, hopefully that maybe answers your question as well about getting a one-on-one for some basic setup as well. So with that, if there's no other comments or no other questions, again, huge thanks to Colin for running this, and for everyone for registering and for attending. Again, it's available for the next 24 hours, but even after that, please feel free to reach out to us. The deck that I shared earlier will certainly circulate that, so you'll have all our contact information, survey coming, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Love the interaction, and maybe next time we'll be able to do this in person. So with that, again, I'll say thank you to everyone, and I'm happy to give you back a good chunk of time in your busy day.